Hello, I'm doing a quick review on the DN-HS5500, which of course DN stands for Denon in abbreviation. This is considered they call it a media player. I'm going to go for a couple of rounds with you on as far as what this is. This is basically a slide tray where you would put a 2.5 IDE hard drive onto here, and I really can't. I might as well lift it up. On the front, this panel actually comes off, and there's going to be a port to where you can actually slide this in to the bracket mounted with the two screws, and you'll be able to just use a hard drive in it. Of course, like I said, only right now, as far as I know, that's the only bracket that has the IDE. This unit is different from the others because it's known to actually act as two, because it has a built-in sound card. So imagine this unit being able to act as two CD players, so you could actually go and do gig with just one. I have two personally, but you can actually use two. Here you'll see, I'll tell you the trick with this. You got, this is deck one, this is deck two. You got your two, which these are your digital outputs. I wasn't too fond with how the outputs work. They work good as they are digital, but the sound quality, if you're using some kind of unit, as far as like a Pioneer, then in any CD, any mixer that has a digital input to it, the sound quality, I notice a big difference. You're probably, if you're doing your basic techno or computer generated type tracks, it's going to sound good. If you're doing any kind of analog sounds, you're going to hear a big difference. Just imagine the sound wave looking compressed, meaning that the wave file wouldn't be as expanded, because it just doesn't, the sound is pure digital, and it seems like it's a very compressed digital to where it's not expanding. And I used it before, and I wasn't too happy with the sound. But as far as, I mean, the sound will be even, you know, if you're doing, if you're DJing or recording. But as far as like live, and you want just clarity and sound, you probably want to stick with the standard RCA, which is of course left and right. The trick is with this unit, even though with some units, if you look on the back, it's usually going from left to right, this one's going right to left. So this is deck one. So this is the only side you're going to use if you're just using one side. So I don't know why it's set like that. And then what makes it more confusing is on the front of the screen, it's going to actually show on the left side facing you. So I've always been confused with that. Also here we've got the desync cable, which is for people known as Cat 5. If you see one of my other videos, I have an instruction on how to make a convert a Cat 5 to a desync cable. Very easy to do. It's only 4 wires to switch around. You got your RCA. You got your USB. I was doing the hard drive at first. Another thing with the hard drive is if you don't go into your computer and disconnect digitally with the software, and you just yank it out like I did, you actually wind up causing problems with the data for the hard drive. And I wind up, you know, the hard drive wouldn't connect, and the next thing you know, I kept plugging it in, unplugging it in, and the hard drive died. Good old Western Digital. And it's funny because I used to work for them. So try not to, you know, try to make sure when you're connecting, which this here, the USB, which for most people would they know it as a printer port, well, a printer cable style type wire that will have USB on one side and the port on the other side. So that's what this is for if you're gonna update your hard drive and transfer music. And I don't know why, but they've only got one USB. I wish they had two USBs, but they only have one, unfortunately. You can probably use some kind of unit adapter to multiply it. I actually used one before and it worked, but you have to use a non-powered one. I mean, you can plug it in, it will work, but if you try to use a powered adapter to get more ports out of here, it's not going to work. If you use a manual one that's non-powered, it will work for the most part. Hard drives, I've used like really small hard drives that are, take 5 volts to power them. They'll work, but your basic hard drives they got out now will not work on here unless you have them powered elsewhere. So don't plan to run that with a hard drive. Use the port if you the adapter if you have it. I'm gonna use this 64 gig Kingston, which I put all my music on. They come with some of these, like units like this, come with like a extension cable, so this way you don't have to keep plugging in. What I would do, which I normally do, is I have an extension male to female USB adapter that I just keep in here. This way you don't wear out this. You want to be able to. If the cable wears out, fine, but being this is a very expensive unit, and this is your only, well, besides using the slide tray, this is your only way of using this thing. So this one only works, it doesn't work direct. You actually have to go into the machine workshop. I'm going to show you if I have time to access that. It's not live like the USB is. And of course you've got your fade 1, fade 2. I haven't even experimented with those yet, so I don't know anything about them. On the side there, and there's your power. So what you want to do with these is you actually want to power them up. You want to actually put your flash drive in it first, or your drive, whatever you're using, before you actually initially start using it, because if you don't, it's going to be corrupted and you're going to have problems. Hopefully I can get a beam on this, because I'm having problems getting the focus. Okay, there we go. I'm going to tell you, in my experience of using this thing, the best thing, having problems here again, best thing you can do, which I would recommend you doing, is, if we can stop moving here for a minute. Okay. So apparently this camera is having problems. Okay, there we go. You can go, depending on what kind of music you have in here and how you have everything set up. I mean, you have your folder, file name, BPM, your genre and year, title, artist. What I do is I make my own folders. So let's say there's my folder selection, and I have 80s, 90s. I mean, you want to do it this way because it's a little easier with you searching than anything else. Once you're going to be using this knob frequently, because not only for selection but to actually more or less for push button, for the push button select. So like, let's say, so we can get you in there. Can we get a little closer? Yeah, that's what we can do. You want to push down on it, and then now I have it loaded. I'm gonna go with the basic controls that I have on this unit. You got your echo. Here's your effect knob selection, of course. Got your flanger, of course, and your filter. I don't use too many functions on here. Brake I use sometimes. If I'm going over to the other one, reverse I rarely don't use. This is interesting. This switch here doesn't sound good because it's on both. If you put up, which is forward, it doesn't get the back scratch, but it gets the forward scratch. So it's almost like you're using a mixer. Okay, what else we got here? I don't get into the too many of the sample effects or anything like that. Your platter, you don't actually have to have it going on. You can turn the platter off, and it will just work as a tempo to slow it down, which is pretty accurate. As far as the scratching accuracy, I'm gonna probably give it a, depending on your file. If you're using a WAV file, it's more accurate. With the MP3, obviously, MP3 being compressed, it's not as accurate, but I'll give it like a 97% as far as that goes. Okay, as far as your major buttons, let me get back in here. You're going to be using display mode often, and as you can see now, that's 1 and that's 2, not showing 2, so it's showing 2 decks right now. But in order for you to get from one side to another, you want to hit layer, and then now that I'm in layer, I can go into anything and get whatever music I want. I don't actually have a mixer hooked up at the moment, so I'm not going to be able to, I can visually show you, but I don't have a mixer hooked up right now, so I can't give you a demo on how it works. Also, go back to layer, I'll show you that. What's unusual about the layer 2, it actually helps you, not only these lights that you see. If you go to layer, you'll see that I switch over to the right, back to the left. Just in case you're kind of getting into it, you might forget what side you're on for the non-experienced, but I've done it sometimes, so no big deal. Also, the platter will stop spinning, and once in a while, depending on what song if you already have it pre-queued, it'll automatically cue for you, so you know that you're doing the right side. And also, the timing is usually already pre-faulted. I think you can go into the settings and change it, but every time I turn it on, it's counting forward. Now I always want to count backwards. So you got that. It does have looping, but I don't get into that. But as far as like that area, there's some other things that I've dealt with. Oh yeah, as far as your device, let me see if I can turn it off for a minute. If you have a hard drive and a flash drive in there simultaneously, you can always go to device and go through your settings, but you gotta make sure you're on one display mode, of course. And you'll have your listings above here, you know, to where if you have it in your computer. Oh, this is the way I wanted to tell you as well. Actually, shut off again. If you go to device and you plan to hook this unit into your computer to update it, you're going to want to stroll. I don't have it hooked up right now, of course, but you're going to want to stroll the PC. It's X'd out, meaning it's not available, but once it is, you go to PC, push down into your button I was showing you earlier, and then you'll be able to get access into your computer. But like I said, make sure that you disconnect properly on your computer so you don't cause any issues with it. Let's see. As far as like the unit is quite heavy. I don't have the specs on the weight, but having in this case, I mean, I'm gonna guess maybe 10 to 15 pounds, maybe if not more. So if you're not a person that works out a lot, because I usually carry 2 of these babies, and then once you put them in the case, that's another 5-6 pounds. So they I want to say maybe about 20 pounds, if not heavier. They're pretty heavy. No sense in me sugarcoating it, trying to tell you they're not that heavy. They're not light, you know, but sometimes you got to pay for the quality, you know, and it's going to have some weight to it. So I really don't mind that, because I've used many other units before, and I've had, the only problems I've had is as far as loading the drive, and it's usually my fault on that case, but I've never had anything fail on me in the middle of a gig or anything like that. I've always had these both desynced, and I had a hard drive and just this one. I'll use this one as a primary. I have a different color case, so I'll know like my black one, because I have a black and a blue case, and I know that the black one is basically the one with the hard drive in it.